you've told me what the problems are, what the challenges you face in terms of work, life, career, and all those things. So what we're saying is we want balance. We want harmony between our work and career. All right? We want, I'm going to use the word equality. All right? In terms of work, life, relationships. Also, we want to be able to go in there, able to, I'm going to write the word down, trust. Okay? I want to write the word down, respect. And as much as you want these things, I'm sure we also want success. Okay? And what does success mean? Sometimes it means something as success in love. Success in terms of wealth, health, happiness, happiness, and we want fulfillment, the word we put there, right? All right? Okay? And we want much more things. We want joy, we want peace, we want calm. Sometimes I'd say we want sobriety. Okay? And all these things seem to be way out there in the distance, that we seem to not be able to achieve it. And at some point, I'm going to say that in your life, there was possibly a time where you experienced unconditional and absolute harmony, joy. I'm going to even say the word wealth, health, and success. Maybe when you were 5, well, you probably felt, geez, I've got the latest, I guess nowadays it would be, I got the latest iPad and therefore I'm wealthy as can be, all right? Or I've got the latest chocolate, so I feel completely in love, all right? Or you feel healthy because you're eating, I don't know, chocolates and sweets, right? Or your concept of health, wealth, and success is different, right? In fact, you probably felt absolute and unconditional about those things, right? But are you there at that point of absolute, unconditional, infinite, eternal love, joy, happiness, purpose in your life? If you ask your 5-year-old, if you have children or when they were 5, what is the purpose of your life? Their purpose is to go play. All right? My son at age 8 years old is like Pokemon is way to go. All right? He thinks of Pokemon channels, Pokemon toys, Pokemon cards, and Pokemon doesn't exist, right? But to him, that's the world, right? So as much as you're at space of unconditional, absolute love, be it at a young, tender age, if you as adults we hear, you don't feel you in that space anymore, all right? Because what has happened over time is that something happened. And generally, if you look at what happened, it was in the form of a person or people. Now, I want to explore that or explain that a bit further, is that people will tell you over the years that what brought you to this facility is the circumstances and situations and events and traumas in their life. Okay? Now, as much as you've had the circumstances, situations, events in your life that brought you here, if you look at the source of the circumstances, the events, it's people. It's persons. You and I are fundamentally impacted by our social environment. And not just the general society or community, it's particular individuals. And you might say, which individual? You know, it's those ones we invest in terms of a relationship. And what is an investment? An investment is where we give value to people, importance to people, energy to people. And by default, then what we've done, when I use those words, invest, energy, value, we give them love. We give them some form of emotional connection with ourselves. And lo and behold, when we do that, and it doesn't have to just be family, it can be family, friends, teachers, elders in the community that we decide to some level have an emotional connection with. Or as much as you decide, not necessarily matter, they impacted on you in a positive way or in a negative way. Because they played a significant role in your life, be it in terms of mentoring, coaching, teaching, or merely sometimes, or maybe seemingly merely driving you to school. All right? So what happens is person and people come along and they burst our bubbles of how unconditional and absolute we may have been in terms of love, health, wealth. And lo and behold, we end up in a space of conditionality. And what I mean by that is that now we start viewing love, health, wealth, joy as only under certain circumstances and situations will we achieve it. We start building and understanding, we think how the world works. So we say, I can only, as we get hammered into our minds from a young age, I can only achieve career if I have a school degree, university degree, double degree, a double doctorate beyond that, and then maybe I can achieve some level of financial gain. All right? But the harsh reality is then we start trying to live up to those rules and regulations of what we're supposed to achieve in order to get there. So we build up these conditions, these belief systems and these convictions as to how the world will be. And as much as you have a conditional view of life, something comes along again, lo and behold, some other person, let's say society, and that takes us to a space where in spite of living up to those conditions, we recognize that it doesn't necessarily give us what we want. And we end up in a space where we feel restricted in terms of what we can achieve. All right? If we speak of being a billionaire in a South African context, either you're very well connected in terms of family, all right? Everyone's nodding their heads, or you're very well connected in some other manners which are not appropriate, because then it's either connection, you're either going to be well connected in terms of family, or if not, then you're going to end up in front of a commission, and you all know what I'm talking about. And both ways, yes, you might, it's not like people say, please tell us about your life, because it'd probably be an expose, all right? So at some point, we become quite restricted in terms of how we see the world and how things can work out for us, right? And then we live with those restrictions. We start living in that bubble. We see no way out of that bubble, all right? And it's not just a bubble. It seems like there's walls being built up, right? And it gets to a point eventually, as much as you thought, hey, I can get by with these restrictions, I'll be fine. You get to a point where you're feeling completely, I'll write a word, limited, all right? And that, again, we can blame community or some other entity that has brought us to the point where we feel completely cut off from the joy, the health, the wealth, the love that we wish for. And by the time you end up seeking help, ending up in this facility, ending up in a space where you feel you're broken and you're all down on the ground knowing nowhere to go, you've reached a point where you're feeling completely scarce. You'll have to look under the microscope to look for opportunities in life. You are completely broken down. And if you look at it, if we're here at this point, we've got no balance in terms of relationships and career. We're working long hours to deliver. We are completely feeling unfulfilled. We feel we cannot trust the world because look what the world did to us. Right? As much as you trusted, they broke you down. And as much as you trusted a few, they broke you down further. As much as you trusted the few, you recognize by the time you get into this place, you cannot trust a single person. And sometimes harsh reality is when we get to this point, we feel we can't even trust what we think ourselves. Because what we think has got us into trouble. As much as you thought this person can be trusted, they messed you up, but who thought that? You did. So you dare not even trust your thinking. So what you think does not set you free. In fact, when you end up in the space of scarcity, it's so small that you feel you are completely cloistered in your thinking and what you're feeling and in terms of how you can act. You see no way out, let's say, this hole. All right? So we end up in this negative space and we feel, geez, there's no way to go. And thereby, things become completely out of balance because you and I are living in the small space thinking no way out. And thereby we end up in a state of depression, anxiety, some mood disorder of sort. The chemicals get completely out of balance in our brain, as we call it. Right? Every door you open seems to, as much as it can't open, and the few doors that open bang shut on you, or even if you get through, someone punches you in the face and you fall down. Because you didn't come to this place because of the amazing food we serve or to meet someone new. You came here because you're completely broken down. And life seems there's no way out. All right?